Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back here to today's edition of the Fishing Teacher, and really appreciate you guys swinging by the channel to check today's video out. And guys, we're going to be talking about today that's something you don't ever hear on any YouTube videos, and that is there's still place today in 2025 for using an old school marker buoy. And I'm going to describe to you guys the situation where you still need to carry marker buoys, you still need to use them because it can definitely add up to a lot more fish if you know how to use them correctly. So we'll get into that in today's episode. Also, guys, a quick reminder before we get started, I just want to let you guys know one of my favorite lures for this time of year. At the time of filming this video, we're in the middle of May, and from about now till the next month or so, guys, fishing this Megabass Magdraft shallow, around shallow targets, is one of my favorite ways to catch them. There's a lot of fish that move shallow and stay shallow after they get done spawning, and they're hungry, and they really like a big swim bait. And one of my favorite ways to do it is to find water visibility of over 3 feet, especially if you have flooded cover, like some type of flooded bushes or trees. You don't have to, but just fish this thing shallow in the same type of areas where the bass have been spawning in, and keep it probably a couple inches under the surface. Just a great way to catch them, guys. And this nude rainbow is probably one of my favorite colors this time of year, but I'll put my Tackle Warehouse link in the description to the Magdraft link if you guys would like to get stocked up on a couple of them. I think it's going to add up to some good ones for y'all. Also, make sure if you're going to throw it, try to pick a low light day, like a cloudy day, or early in the morning or late in the evening. It's the best time for them. Okay, guys, here's a marker buoy. If you don't know what a marker buoy is, there's probably some people out there that have no clue what this is because it's old school. It's just a buoy with a piece of lead on it and a line on it. And you throw it in the water and it unwraps and it stays on the surface stationary. I remember back when I was in high school reading Bassmaster magazine about guys using a marker buoy that, you know, to mark structure with. They had paper maps, they'd have those old flashers, and they'd, you know, chart out those drop-offs and stuff, and they'd throw a marker buoy out on the end of a drop-off. So they've been around forever. But what happened after GPS came along and after the improvements in GPS, people felt that they could pinpoint those offshore structures, and therefore they didn't need a marker buoy to tell them where to cast. But guys, this is not true. It's like you can still use a marker buoy to really pinpoint specific spots along with your GPS mapping. So here's what I'm talking about. Let's say, for example, it's you found a brush pile out off the end of a point in 20 foot of water. You graphed over it, you know, you put a waypoint on it, and then you go back over it and you look at your electronics and you see the area where that is and you start casting to there. Now, you don't really know where that exact brush pile is. You don't know the exact distance it is from it, you know, anything like that, unless you're spotlight, and that's a different, you know, thing we don't do here on the channel. But anyway, if you drop a marker buoy, you'll know exactly where to cast at. It doesn't matter if it's a offshore rock pile, if it's a drop off, whatever the structure is. When you're trying to cast to one specific spot, I still use marker buoys today. Now, what I usually do, let's say, for example, I'm out on a point and I find a drop off on a point, or I find a brush pile or a rock pile. Once I know where this is, once I idle over it a couple times, I'll throw that marker buoy like 20 foot to the left or the right of it, and then I'll swing around, let it settle down a little bit, you know, let the fish get reacclimated where the motor's not over the top of their head. And once that marker buoy's in place, I know exactly where that pile is. It's like it's going to be 20 foot to the right of my marker buoy, and I can hit it every single time. Now, this is especially important if it's windy. Let's say the wind's blowing 15 miles an hour, or you have some current, some type of wind or current that can blow you off your spot. You know exactly where it's at. So you can't underestimate the importance of this. I have used this so many times in my fishing and cashed so many checks that I would not have cashed without that marker buoy. Now, some other things you can do with it. Let's say, for example, you're fishing a grass lake and you're way out off the bank in this big grass flat out there. You can do the same thing with that, because sometimes there will be little sweet spots within those grass areas. Maybe the grass is a little thinner or a little bit thicker, or maybe it's situated on the edge of a lip or a little bit of a channel or drop off. You can throw out marker buoys around those type of areas and catch them on it. Or if you're catching some fish, say you're drifting across a big grass bed and you start getting a bite or two, you can throw a buoy out, and then once you drift past it, you can look back and say, well, that's the sweet spot back there where the marker buoy was. So the main thing, it's like there is a place for it today. Don't ever think that, this marker buoy thing is just over and done with, because it can pinpoint specifically where those fish are at. Let me give you one prime example. I was fishing a tournament at Kentucky Lake. This has been probably 15 years ago. And anyway, I was on a river channel ledge out there, and I was working my way down this river channel ledge. And as I was working down the river channel edge, I was just throwing a big crankbait, just covering water, staying right on the edge of the drop off. And as I was working down through there, I had my 2D sonar, and I noticed all of a sudden, it's just like the bottom went boom, boom, just like that, just up and down. And I circled back around, boop, boop, just up and down. But I'm talking, it was like small. It was this, whatever this object was, it was probably about as big around as, I don't know, the back deck on your boat. It was little bitty tiny. Wind was blowing. So anyway, I threw a marker buoy out on it. Again, 20 feet off to the left of it, or the right, or I can't remember which one it was. And guys, every single time I hit that exact spot where that little, whatever it was, I don't know if it was a rock or an old foundation or whatever it was, I would catch a big one on it. It didn't matter what I threw. If I threw 10 foot over to the left of it or 10 foot over to the right of it, I wouldn't catch a fish. But when I hit that thing perfectly every time, I'd catch a fish almost every time. And there's no way I would have ever been able to do that with just using my GPS. There's no way. I wouldn't have known the distance or anything, but that marker buoy put me right on top of it. I'll tell you a story about that. This is like something that really sort of irritated me. It wasn't cool to do. I was thrown in there. At the first cast, I caught like a 6.5 pounder. The second cast, I caught like a 5 pounder. And as I was walking back to put my 5 pounder in the live well, my co-angler casted over my head up in front of the boat to that marker buoy and catches a 7 pounder, which cost me almost winning the tournament. If I look back and it's like, dude, that was not cool for you to do that. It's like, he saw I was catching them and they were there and I was in position to win the tournament. So that was sort of my marker buoy story. But anyway, guys, get you some marker buoys. I'll put my Tackle Warehouse link in the description. They got them there at Tackle Warehouse. I'll link some marker buoys in there if you guys want to pick one up, and hope it helps you all. We'll see you.